And here we go, episode number 15 of the BS podcast. That's 3 packages of 5. 15.
Yeah, it's not a dozen.
It's not a dozen. Because at one point there was some confusion with you about exactly what a dozen was.
Yeah, it's 12.
It's 12. A dozen is 12. Yeah, that's how you buy eggs.
This is a dozen plus 3.
A dozen plus 3. Now, what was the confusion that you had about a dozen?
I don't know. I thought it was 14, I guess, for like a split second, and it's not.
You really thought that? That a dozen was 14.
I mean, I know what a dozen is, so I'm not really sure why I thought that at that moment in time, but yeah.
Well, that's
that was
okay.
So embarrassing.
It is a dozen, 12, plus 3, which makes it 15.
Yeah.
Which, that's okay. That's a lot, but good.
Yeah.
We're trucking right along. We went through the holidays. We went through the new year.
It's great. It's great.
Yeah, I think so. So, we did have some mail this past week.
We did.
So,
we had an email.
It's good we have email because now we got an email.
Yes. So remember, if you do want to email us, it's the bspodcast333@gmail.com. Okay, so the email said, what would Scott do if he brought a co-host in to compete against you for the podcast, but the audience votes for you and the other co-host and votes him off?
Now, see, there are a few things with this email that I find a little odd. Now, I'm not saying that can't happen, but number one, it's not American Idol. I didn't know that we were going to bring people in to compete. I didn't know that was going to happen. And then if I brought somebody in to compete, I'm not sure how I would get into the competing myself. And there would be a vote like Survivor at the end to vote somebody off. And somehow I would end up being voted off, somebody who wasn't competing to begin with.
Well, if you get voted off, can we still use your equipment?
No. But it would be easy to replace me. And so if that vote wants to take place, it can happen. It'll free up a little bit of my time.
Okay, well, I'm going to need your equipment.
Well, I can't help you there.
Well, then I'm kind of out of luck.
You're out of luck.
SOL.
SOL. But you don't want to replace me.
Oh, no, never.
Oh, that sounded really convincing.
Why would I ever replace you?
Well, who would you want to do this with?
Nobody other than you, Scott.
Nobody other than you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. This brings us to topic number 1 tonight.
Why are my kids so obsessed with me?
Was that topic number 1?
I don't know.
We can go with that. Why are they? I don't know.
I don't know. He just left.
He just left.
As soon as I say that, he leaves.
He knew
with
it was
his
coming.
Sour Patch Kids.
No, the topic was, this started this morning, why...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, people's names.
Yeah, I don't say names.
You don't say names.
It's so weird.
Unless there are certain situations, then you will invoke a name.
Yeah. Like one, if I'm yelling at my kids.
Right.
I'll say their name. But no, like, I guess if I want it to be meaningful. But normally I'm just like, hey, you. You know that, you. I don't say names.
You're pointing at me. For people out there who can't see, which is everybody, it was a point in my direction.
Yeah.
So when you actually say the person's name, that to you means emphasis.
Right. It's okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
Had a Sour Patch Kids spill.
So why do you think there's emphasis in somebody's name?
I don't know. Like, I guess just, I don't know. Like, means I'm serious.
Oh, good. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, people like to know when people are serious than when they're just fooling around. So I guess that's a good way to separate it out, to use people's names.
Yeah, but I am so weird about that. Like, so weird.
I don't really like to use people's names unless it's like, I guess, similar. When it's a serious moment, I guess I use people's names.
Yeah, you don't call me by my name.
No, I never call you by your real name.
Right.
Which is strange, because that's the first thing I noticed about you was your name.
Yeah.
But over time, I like the shortening of it. So it's weird, because when we do the radio show, I don't really announce you on this show, but when we do the radio show and I have to announce you, it's weird because I don't call you by your name. So to announce you by your name is always strange to me.
Well, you usually say Bales and then say Bailey Hunt.
Right.
So,
which is weird.
You say both.
Yeah, but when I say Bailey Hunt, I think, who is that?
I know. I don't know who that is.
Because that is so not what I call you all the time.
It's not me.
No, it's not you. But, I wanted to mention that, too, on this podcast, because there is a show that we do now every Friday night live on the radio.
Yeah.
107.1 FM. And if you don't have that, you can listen on TuneIn, free TuneIn app. Just download the app. It's absolutely free. You can listen anywhere in the world. Just search WWGH Radio. It's on every Friday night from 8 to 10. It's live. And I think we've done 3.
Yeah.
But it's been on 4 weeks. And it's an interesting show. It's a fun 2-hour broadcast. And it all came about, I think I told this story this morning on the radio, but who heard that? It all came about because...
I heard it!
You heard that. It all came about because...
I'm awesome? No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's similar to that. It's that I had met you somehow.
I don't have a big head at all.
No, not at all. But we were doing... I think you had a day off.
I did.
Yeah, and you wanted to come. You just said something about, I want to come to the radio station because I've never been there.
Yeah, sure. I don't remember.
That didn't happen?
I don't remember.
It was something similar to that.
Yeah.
It was something. But I remember that you were coming, but it wasn't to be on the radio, which was weird to me. And I thought, well, this is strange. I don't have a guest. Why don't you just come on the radio? Now, for people listening, most people who come on the radio who are not in that business are terrible.
Right.
We use a lot, so it doesn't work.
But I'm awesome.
So what I was thinking that morning was, this is going to stink. I'm
going to have to find a way to kick her out after the first hour.
Well, what I thought was, this will work once, and she'll see the radio station for whatever reason she was coming, and we'll do a 2-hour show, and that'll be that. And no harm, no foul. I've done worse shows. So, but what happened was, you came on, and for whatever reason, which is why we're doing this podcast now and doing that show on Friday night, you were very good. And I knew it from like the first 15 minutes in that you got it. You got how to do it. You got all the spots right. And I thought, man, this is really good. And you had a day off the next week, I remember. And I said, for some reason, do you want to come back and do this again? And you said yes. And you came back, and I thought, well, maybe it was just a one-time fluke because it's a new person. And you came in, and you were just as good as you were the first time, and I was highly impressed.
And now everybody loves me.
And they do. I mean, people do ask, and even this morning when I was telling this story, I got a private message on the WWGH page, not my personal page, saying they love the addition of you, and they do listen on Friday night. Now, Friday night is not a high phone call night. It doesn't yet. But we do get a lot of feedback from the show. I remember the week we didn't do the show, I got 2 messages saying, what happened? Aren't you doing the show tonight? And then this guy, who I'd never heard from before, who said he's listened to the station since the beginning, praised you for being there. And I have to say I praise you for being there. I think it's a very good show, and I think you make it a very good show, and you're very good at this. So anybody listening... they really shouldn't underestimate you when it comes to this because you have an innate talent to be in this particular profession. And you had it right from the beginning, so nobody had to steer you in any direction.
I think if anybody's still listening, they probably have just died of a heart attack because you didn't make fun of me for the last 8 minutes.
No, that was genuine.
I know. That's what I was saying.
I told a real story.
I know. Thank you.
Yeah.
It means a lot. And I'm just saying, though, everybody's used to you making fun of me, so they're probably, like, in shock right now.
Oh, you know what that is. Because last episode we did, episode 14, that was kind of the definitive making fun episode. Because really, I just beat you above the head and shoulders the entire time. And here's what people have to understand about that particular thing. We do have a really good friendship.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
We do. We have a good friendship.
No, we do. We do.
We have a good friendship, and that sometimes is just done for effect because I realize there's a microphone there, and I realize sometimes that you disagree with people. Disagreeing is more fun to listen to than agreeing, so that's why I do it.
Nobody wants to agree on everything.
No. But the truth is, I mean, for anybody who's got half a brain listening, I wouldn't have you here if I couldn't stand you to the degree that I pretend not to stand you. So, no, that's just show. But no, that's the truth. You got to tell the truth when you're telling a story.
Yeah. That is true.
But you have a lot of good qualities. See, that's the thing that I don't know if people understand, because I don't know if we ever had an introduction episode.
I don't know, but I really enjoy this, so I'm just going to keep quiet so you keep complimenting me.
No, I'm just saying, I know that a lot of people listen to this now, because I do hear back from people. You've ran into a person in the grocery store. We do get emails. I know people listen. Did you ever tell that story on the podcast?
I think I did last week. I don't know. Maybe.
Tell that story. It's quick. That's a good story.
I was in the grocery store a couple weeks ago, and I had a lady come up to me and say, "You're the girl that does the podcast with Scott, aren't you?" And I was like, "I have a name."
That's so sad to me.
I know.
To go through life as that. I know.
I was so sad. I was like, I mean, I'm glad you recognized me, but, like, I do have a name.
Did it make you feel good, though, when she said it?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Well, because they do recognize you, and I think the people listening to this have to understand, because we did not do an introduction episode. Now, I've been around for a while now, so I think people get and know who I am and what I do. But you really came out of nowhere to land into the radio station that day. I think it was
like an atomic bomb.
Well, I don't know. Atomic bombs are disasters. I don't think this was a disaster. I think it was
It was like a beautiful disaster.
A beautiful disaster. Isn't that a song?
I think
it is. But it was sometime in November. I think it was because it was before Christmas.
Yeah, it was in November.
Yeah. So it happened in November, and ever since then, you've been very good at it and very sharp. And I think sometimes that's what people don't get about you, is that you're much more sharp, much more knowing of everything going on in the world, and much more capable of doing a lot of things than a lot of people give you credit for. And this is why you will be a big success even if I wasn't here, which is the truth. So whoever wrote that email was right. I could go away and you would still be a big success. I am not needed at this point.
Well, I mean, that may be true, but I still need you because I don't have my own equipment yet.
Boy, that was so nice.
I cracked myself up.
Oh, my goodness. After that full 12 minutes of me being completely nice and positive.
This whole side of my face hurts.
Which is the left side.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
I don't either.
Hopefully nothing bad.
I know. I could be dying.
We're all dying. Moment by moment by moment. We're all going to the Grim Reaper.
Well, I think my wisdom teeth are growing in.
That could be.
Because, for the longest time, the dentist told me I didn't have any. Like, years. Until the last time I went to the dentist, they're like, "Oh, you have 3 wisdom teeth." And I was like, "Excuse me?"
Did the dentist who told you that not have an x-ray machine?
No, they took x-rays. Like, these teeth just came out of nowhere.
Came out of nowhere?
Yeah.
Like...
Well, I have
Krypton or something?
I have layers of teeth anyway. There's a couple teeth that I lost a few times, and they still grew back.
Well, that's interesting.
I'm like a shark.
That's an interesting fact.
Yeah.
You're like a shark when it comes to teeth.
Yeah.
Very fascinating.
I know. I almost bit a kid's thumb off once.
Bit a kid's thumb off. Now, how did that happen?
So this kid kept biting me. I was like 4 or 5. He kept biting me. And my mom and stepdad at the time told me if I didn't bite him back, then I was going to be in trouble because he kept biting me. He would not stop. And so I bit him, except I wouldn't let go.
Oh, so you clamped down.
Yeah, and made him bleed and almost took his thumb off.
Well, it sounds like the kid was bullying, so he probably deserved it.
Yeah. He was younger than me, too.
Well, that's a good lesson to learn for people. Don't bully.
Yeah, I will bite you.
Well, people who bully should not be, that whole bullying thing, that's a whole lack of internal self-esteem, I think.
Yeah.
That you have to push around somebody else. I don't know what that is. I
don't know.
You see it an awful lot. It's become more prevalent.
For sure.
I don't know.
Fun.
I was trying to remember if I was ever bullied, and if it did, I blocked it out. I don't remember it.
I was.
It didn't happen. I don't know why. When I was in high school, it wasn't one way or another. I played baseball, I did soccer, I did those things, but, it wasn't like I was hanging around with, well, I guess maybe I was. I was probably hanging around with more popular kids than unpopular kids, but there was no bullying. There was never anything like that.
I mean, my senior year, I was cheerleading captain and JROTC company commander, but so I hung out with a wide variety of people in both popular groups and the nerds and the jocks in a way, and I still was bullied. So
nobody ever tried to bully me, and then when I went to college was really a popular time. I liked college. College was completely different because you got away from all that kind of classy system that everybody was in high school.
Like the cliques.
Yeah, there really were no cliques in college. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess there were, because I was in the education field, so you took a lot of the same classes with a lot of the same people. So I guess it was cliquey that way. But, I mean, it was not like you shunned other groups or...
Yeah.
There was just none of that. Plus, when I went to college, this is still one of the funniest things. I remember, I think it was my first or second, they were on quarters then. That's been done away. It went from, now it's semesters, but when I was there it was quarters.
Yeah.
So you had 3 quarters a year. And I remember that when we were taking quarters, what was I going to say? What was I talking about? Bullying?
Bullying.
Okay, there was no bullying. We were in the education field.
We were taking quarters, not
We were taking quarters, not semesters. It had something to do with college, to be honest with you, but I don't remember what it was. Boy, oh boy, that's
I don't
awful.
know. That is.
Oh, I know what it was. I know what I was talking about now. It came back. My second or third quarter in college, this is how new the internet was. One of my English classes, they were doing a pilot English class, how to learn the internet, how to do email, how to write on word processor, how to use PowerPoint, how to navigate research on the internet instead of at the library like it used to be done. Like my senior project, you had to go to the library and you had to cite things on index cards, and that's how it had always been done, and that's the way it was. But by the time I got to... It was a weird time to be in college because internet was just coming. So there was a class. It was an English class. It had nothing to do with English except the fact that it was English. And it was more about learning the internet.
Yeah, I don't ever really remember a time without internet and computers.
Well, I'm trying to remember what year that was, but it was...
I mean, I was probably in 5th or 6th grade, I guess, but... I don't know. I just don't really remember.
Well, it was one of the most interesting times to grow up because I was talking to some people my age about this not too long ago, and it's interesting because there is this time, which you remember perfectly well, where there was no internet.
Yeah.
And then there is this time you remember perfectly well where there was internet.
But you don't remember the in-between?
Well, there really was no in-between because internet just came. There was a time when internet came in when it was all dial-up. And that was kind of transition time. Because when you dial it up, you couldn't use the telephone.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And nobody had a cell phone then.
That was terrible.
So it was an interesting time, but I'm so glad that I grew up in an era where there was no internet, and I did learn all that stuff. Like going to the card catalog, how to research without the internet, how to do all that sort of thing. Because I think in life that does help you, because when you're researching on the internet, now you know what keywords you need to go to, how you need to find things, and I think that's a byproduct of being on, doing like the senior project and having to do that when I was in elementary school and high school.
Yeah, I mean, I don't miss dial-up for sure.
No, dial-up was no fun, but at that time, it was a big thing.
At least you had internet.
You had internet. But you know what? Nobody really cared at that point. The only thing that was big back then was chat rooms. because it was this amazing thing that you could talk to people without using the phone all over the world, and that was a whole new thing. So chat rooms were really the big thing with dial-up internet. It wasn't so much searching the web, because it was very hard back then to search the web, because it moved so slowly that it just took a long time.
Yeah. I'm trying. I remember. Do you remember how old you are when you got your first cell phone?
How old I will say I am, or how old I really was?
I guess, like, what part of your life? Like, in college, or, like...
Oh, yeah, it would have been college.
Okay.
Nobody had cell phones in high school.
Yeah. I had a cell phone, and I don't even know if I classify it as a cell phone, in 8th grade, okay? But it was called a Firefly. It had a mom button, a dad button, and then a contact button. And an emergency button, and then a contact button. You could have 20 people in there, and that was including your parents. I was like, I have more than 20 friends, and nobody, if the number wasn't programmed in your phone, they could not call you, and you could not call them. There was no numbers on the phone.
Well, it's interesting because I remember the first cell phone that I had was the first cell phone. There was no texting. There was no internet on your cell phone.
I didn't have texting either.
There was none of that. There was no flip phone. It was flip. Well, yeah, it was a flip phone. I think they were all flip phones back then. So
you didn't have one of those like Nokia ones?
I remember those. I think those came after the flip phone. I think the flip phone was the first thing.
I used one of those one time. When I was 16, it was so funny. I had a cell phone. And I had gotten in trouble and gotten it taken away. And my little boyfriend at the time, I had one of those phones, and his mom bought minutes for it so we could still talk.
How nice. Well, see, that's a good parent.
Yeah.
I remember when I first got the cell phone, it was because I was moving. I was out of the house because I had, when I started college, it was like the first quarter I moved out.
Yeah.
And got my own apartment. And so I think I had just moved from one apartment to another apartment, and instead of having the phone moved, which is what you had to do back then, have the landline moved, I just decided to get a cell phone. So I got the cell phone, because they had just started coming out heavy then. But the problem was, I always left it in the car. I remember I would go to work.
Not much has changed.
No, it's still what I do. Because I would take the cell phone. I remember I would always take it to work. Because I would like put it next to my keys and my glasses, so when I would leave, it was always there to grab. But when I would get to work, I always just threw it in the passenger seat, and I would always leave it in the car. So I never knew anything until I got out of work.
You know what? For the longest time, though, I never knew that I didn't have your cell phone number.
Oh, you thought that was a cell phone number?
Yeah. Oh. And it's not. It's your house phone.
It is. I do still have a landline.
Right. Because the one day you were missing, and I tried to call you, and I could hear it ringing.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. What did you think had happened to me?
I don't know. I thought you just struck out and died.
And died.
Remember that was the time that your carotid was bothering you? Like
I still don't know that was my carotid artery. That's what somebody said.
Right.
I don't really know that that's what it was.
Well,
I didn't have an ultrasound done on it or anything.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, I was freaking out. I was like, oh, man, he's in there dead, and I can't get in. The door's locked, and he's not answering the phone. He's not answering the door. I'm texting your friends, and they're like, I haven't heard from him. Oh, I was freaking out.
I think what had happened that day was I thought you were coming like 10 minutes after you were supposed to. So
yeah, because I'm always late.
Yeah.
And I wasn't that day.
Well, I don't know. It seems to me like because when I was driving home, I remember thinking I'm on time. So.
Oh, yeah, you thought I was coming later than I actually was.
Right.
And really, you just got the time wrong. And I proved that to you at that time.
It could have been. Mm-hmm. I won't deny. But that's what happened.
But I am usually late. And I was not late that time.
Well, you know what it is with the cell phone. I don't usually give people the number because then they will call. And then...
You don't ever have it with you anyway, though, so why does it matter?
I really don't. I don't. It's awful.
And trust me, I won't call. I'll text you.
Well, texting's okay, but the people at work complain because I don't answer the text.
No.
And I don't. I hear the buzzer go off, but I don't respond because, like I got a text this morning and I saw it and I said, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And just kind of, bloop.
But you'll Facebook message all day long.
I'll Facebook message all day long because
People can see when you've read it. And they'll
well,
call you out.
There's that, but there's also like a lot of conversations usually going on, and I've usually got the browser open, and I'm also emailing people, so I'm doing other things, so that's easy to navigate. I don't think I would probably have a long conversation through a text message. I'm sure I wouldn't, a matter of fact, because I don't. No, I don't think I've ever texted you. Well, no, I haven't because you don't have my number, so it wouldn't happen. So it's
always been over Facebook.
It's always been over Facebook. And the landline.
Yeah.
Facebook and the landline. The only
weird.
ways to go. Why is that weird?
First of all, who has a landline anymore?
Well, the reason I have a landline is because I used to do a lot of recording of interviews from home. And you can't do that on a cell phone.
Right.
There's actually a machine you use that I had for a long time until something happened to this machine. It's actually laying over there somewhere. And the cord broke. And I did not realize that until like 2 weeks ago because I hadn't used it in a long time. So now, as I get ready for another venture, which I thought would just go immediately because I had this recorder that I could record from home, when I realized the cord was broken, I had to order another one. And now I'm waiting on the new one to arrive. But then I'll be off and running with Podcast Central.
Yeah. Which is super exciting.
It is super exciting because I noticed that everything seems to be going in that direction. And I also noticed that a lot of people are listening to these podcasts. And there's only really been 3 that have been put out there, 3 different podcasts.
Right.
So that's a really good positive sign. And I think it's also having positive people. Luckily, I have not done a podcast with anybody yet who was bad.
Yeah.
They've all been good, and they've all pulled it off. So that's...
If not, they get the boot.
They get the boot. They would have to go if they did not do a good job. So they've done amazingly well, and I think that helps the whole situation.
Yeah. I've been a little emotional the past few podcasts, but it's all good now.
You have been, but that's okay, because I don't mind it. I just know that the last one, if you listen to it, it's kind of train wreckish, because you're emotional, and I'm really laying into you pretty good, because that's what I always have done.
I didn't listen to it.
No, it would be bad.
Yeah.
It would be bad. Because I didn't realize that you were that emotional until afterwards. And then I realized that probably was not a good idea. Even though it was a joke, and it really was. I mean,
Yeah, I know. We talked about it.
It was. So, but I didn't know it till afterwards.
Right.
So here I am saying all kinds of horrible things like I normally do, and realizing that they're really having impact, which I didn't realize.
You have to realize that my life is like a roller coaster, like an emotional roller coaster. It's just...
Yeah, but you're on the upswing.
I am.
You are absolutely on the upswing.
Yeah, we're going up a hill right now.
We're going up a hill right now.
That's my least favorite part about a roller coaster. That
click, 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 click. Yeah, I know. That because there comes the drop.
Yeah, we were.
Swoosh.
Yeah, we were at Cedar Point. I had the kids at Cedar Point, and I do not like roller coasters. Not my thing. I love taking Austin because he's not big enough for the scary roller coasters. So we just go on the kid rides and, it's fun. It's great. Caden loves roller coasters. I don't know where he came from. I do not. But we decided to go on this roller coaster. And because I didn't take Austin, I took Caden and Courtney. Because I wanted to be able to, I never get to go and spend time with Caden and Courtney because I'm always at the little kid rides with Austin. Because obviously I can't leave him alone. The other 2 are 16 and 9, so they can stick together and it be fine. Or go with whatever adult is with us. But we were on the blue streak, I think that was the one, and it's going click, 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 and I'm holding Caden's hand. And so just imagine, and he was 8 at the time, he wasn't even 9, he was 8, I'm like death grip on my 8-year-old's hand. And we get up there and he's like, Mommy, I have a feeling we're going to crash. We're probably going to die. And I wanted to beat him so bad because I'm already so afraid, and he just starts laughing. And we go down this hill, and I'm screaming and, like, squeezing his arm. And he's laughing hysterically, and his poor hand was so red when I got done. Because I squeezed it so hard.
Well, it's interesting about roller coasters because roller coasters for me are not about fear, but they're more about motion sickness. Mm-hmm. And I don't think the last time I went to Cedar Point with a group of people, I don't think they understood that it was more about motion sickness than fear. And there was I forget which the roller coaster is, which one that's in the dark.
I know what you're talking about. I can't think of it.
Well, when you're going on that, you don't really know what it is. Mm-hmm. So they had convinced me to go on this ride, which rides are no big deal. So I get on this thing, and when it starts jerking you around, I knew that was not good. I just because you can't see anything.
Mm-hmm.
And,
I know.
And I just remember my neck being jerked because you didn't know when the turns were coming, and every jerk I just got more dizzy and more nauseous. And thank goodness nothing happened that day to that degree. But I do remember it was a very hot day in like July, and I remember getting off of that, and I was sick the rest of the day. Mm-hmm. So that was not a pleasurable experience.
Yeah. There's one at Kings Island that's like inside a building, and it's dark, and it goes upside down and stuff. And I went with my little sister, and I was like, does this have a shoulder harness? Because she's like, oh, it's fine. It has a shoulder harness. And if it has a shoulder harness, this is so weird, then I'm totally fine with it. But I have like a fear of falling out. Like, I'm so tiny, and so I feel like I'm going to fall out of these roller coasters. And so if it has a shoulder harness, then I feel safer, I guess. But we go, and she was like, oh, it doesn't go upside down. It's fine. Like, you're fine. And I was like, no, I don't think so. Like, it doesn't have a shoulder harness. And she's like, no, it's totally fine. This thing went upside down. This thing went all around, and I was terrified. I was like, why did you lie to me? And she's like, because I knew you wouldn't go on it.
You know, I don't know why people who like rides are determined to put people who are not big fans.
Yes!
I don't know, does that give them some kind of thrill? I don't know what that is.
It's terrible.
Well, I don't know. I don't like to be nauseous at the theme park.
Yeah.
So I don't particularly care for
especially on a hot day.
Oh, it was bad. I just remember nothing ever came up, and I was glad of that. But I could not, I just felt awful the rest of the day. And everywhere, I remember getting ready to finally go home, because when you go, you stay there all day. Mm-hmm. I remember finally when it was time to go home, I was just starting to feel better.
Yeah.
Things were finally starting to clear up inside my head. So that was not a pleasant experience, and I think that was the last time I was on a roller coaster.
Yeah. I will say, there's been times, like, I think that there's something wrong with me. Imagine that, right? Even when I, like, cheered and tumbled and stuff when I was younger, if I, like, move my back a certain way, I instantly get a headache and feel nauseous. And so sometimes when I'm on a roller coaster, it's like it moves a certain, like, it, like, jerks, and then it's instant headache the rest of the day. Like, my whole body hurts, and I feel nauseous. Isn't that weird?
Well, that is different. But, certain things do, like, smells of foods for certain people.
But I'm like, when I used to do, like, back bends and stuff, it was, like, instant headache and nauseous. I hated tumbling. It's funny, because I love cheerleading, but I hated tumbling.
Well, it's interesting, because I remember when I had my tonsils and adenoids out, when I wasn't all that young. It wasn't like a baby young, when you're supposed to get them out.
Yeah.
I was like 11 or 12, which was not good, because the older you are, the worse it is. And I remember going to get the blood test. I don't know why you had to have a blood test, but I remember going to get the blood test for the thing, and it making me sick, which was weird because now, and it honestly, it was years. I had the blood test, and then I had the IV for the surgery, and they were both such miserable experiences that it like gave me a fear of needles for a long time. And then one day I did, and I avoided needles for a long time. And then one day I had to go get a blood test for something a lot of years later. Like, boy, it may have been 10 years later. I had to go get a blood test, and I was like, oh my God, I have to go get a blood test, and oh, this is going to be awful. I'm not good with this. And I went in there, and it was nothing. And ever since then, it like eschewed every fear I ever had of needles. So now it's nothing. If they put an IV in or a...
Good, let's go get tattoos.
Well, we talked about this at one point. And, you know, I don't have any. And I'm not sure where I would get one and what I would get it of because, you know, I don't want to just get something goofy. Mm-hmm. You know, you want something meaningful.
Right.
But I don't know. I'd have to... I would do it if it was meaningful and it was where people couldn't see it.
Well, you could get it like on your back, like on your shoulder or something. Nobody's going to see it.
Right, but it'd have to have some kind of purpose. So if somebody ever did see it, like I was at the pool or something, that...
Do you go to the pool?
No. Then
I didn't think so.
Now, why would you think I wouldn't go to the pool?
Well, we've talked about this before, about how, like, you don't, like, nobody ever sees you in shorts, like, you're always in pants, and...
Well, yeah,
so
but...
I would just assume that you don't go to the pool if nobody's ever seen you in shorts.
But, like, private pools, yeah, I'll do that.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a fear of water or anything.
I do.
Yeah, I don't have a fear of water. I mean, I'll get in a private pool. I'll do that sort of thing. But you know what? I'm always so busy. I don't... Even in the summer, there's not ever... I don't know when I've ever had a vacation.
Yeah.
I don't take vacations. They're
I'm
all...
going on vacation.
Huh?
I'm going on vacation.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Where are you going?
This summer I'm going to Texas.
Oh, Texas. Very cool. Mm-hmm. That'd be a fun vacation.
Yeah. Taking all 3 kids.
Cool.
Yeah, which the other 2 have already been to Texas. But Austin has not. And Austin, the other 2 have been on airplanes too. Austin has, but he was 4 months old. So he does not remember. So he has it's not even until July, and he's already packed his bag to go on the airplane. With all of his toys.
Well, that's preparing.
Yeah, except I had to tell him that he can't take his Nerf gun. I was like, you can't take that on the plane. You have to leave that at home.
I think they frown upon that now.
Yeah, yep. So I was like, you can't take that, buddy, but, you know, we'll find something else to take.
Which shouldn't be a big issue.
No. He has, like, all of his animals. All of them.
I don't know why I don't take vacations. I could. I probably should. I just don't. I don't. Because I think I like everything I'm doing. Sometimes it can be very annoying.
Yeah, but I mean, sometimes you just need a break.
I don't know. It's just I'm always...
I feel like... But you go places. You just work when you go.
Right. I'm a bad vacationer because when I'm somewhere, I'm still doing everything that I would be doing if I was doing the job.
Right.
And if I've ever went anywhere, and I've went places in the last few years, it's just always... I always make sure there's some work-related aspect to it.
Yeah.
And that's okay. You know, it's fun. Because a lot of the times you spend just having fun anyway.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But no, I'm not a good vacationer. I would not be... Well, you know what I think it is? I think it's because one day I know that I'm not going to do it anymore. Because I think your skills diminish eventually. Yeah. And then I can vacation. Then I can do whatever I want to do. Yeah.
I want to take the kids to Disney sometime.
That's fun.
I've been like 4 times. My kids have never been. I actually went a few years ago and left them at home. I coached cheerleading, and one of the cheerleaders performed in the Citrus Bowl halftime show. It was like back in 2016. And so her parents paid for me to go with them to the halftime show, and we went to Disney and Universal, and so, I mean, Yeah. But
Why not?
I feel bad because my kids like want to go so bad, and I was like, oh no, we can't afford that. And I'm like, okay, bye, I'm going to Disney.
Well, sometimes that happens. A lot of the things that I've gotten to do over the years have been, like that. Somebody
Yeah.
else will invite me to something. I was invited to something today. I turned down a lot of invites to things.
You were invited to something today?
Yeah, I get these invites to things, and if it's really, really, really something I want to do, I'll try to do it. But
I don't turn down much. I will say that. Especially if it involves traveling.
I turned down a lot of stuff because, I don't know. If I tried to do everything, I'd be dead.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it all. But there are some things I don't want to miss, so I'll do that. But a lot of it I don't.
If you could go anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Well, I don't
Like
know.
to vacation, not to work. To vacation.
Let's see. Where would I want to go? Well, there are places that interest me. Like, right now, I think England would be interesting.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I think England would be interesting. I also think because of the aspects of what it is, I think France is interesting. Paris.
Yes.
And I also think that just for an education of what it would be, I would be fascinated to go to Israel.
Oh, that would be nice. Yeah.
That would be fascinating for me.
Oh, for sure. That I like all of those. I want to go to Ireland or like Jamaica or the Bahamas,
Oh, the Bahamas. I was recently...
Which is kind of funny. I know, you told me about that.
Because this was my attempt to break... And that could be happening. That would be my non-work vacation. Yes.
Yeah. So, that's funny though. Like, I want to go somewhere with the beach, which is funny because, like, I have to dope up on Benadryl to even get into the ocean because of all the shellfish that I'm allergic to. I break out in hives. So it's really ironic that I want to go to the beach when I'm allergic to most things at the beach.
Well, the beach is... I like going to the beach. Now, see, that's interesting. I love to go to the beach. I love any beach. I love the smell of it. I love the way it feels in the summer. I can do that all day long.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But I take work with me, which is strange.
I used to want to get married on the beach.
Married on the beach, a lot of people have done
No,
that.
I don't now, but I used
but
to.
a lot of people have done it.
Yeah.
I want to get married in the insane asylum because I know that's where I'll be if I ever want to marry somebody.
I think if I get married, I'm going to do... Like, because I always wanted a country wedding. Like, because, like, after I got over my whole beach thing, I always wanted it to be country. Well, when I got married, we got married on a racetrack, which was totally cool. I mean, it was different. And it seems like everyone does country weddings, but that's just who I am. So, I'd probably go country this time.
You got to do what you want.
That, and I really like these cute cowgirl boots that are, like, white and sparkly and, like, blinged out that I need a reason to buy. And if I were to get married and have a country wedding, I'd have a reason to buy them.
I was in a country wedding once.
Yeah?
I was. I was one of the groomsmen, and I had to wear...
I figured.
Yeah, I had to wear a cowboy hat.
Oh!
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Oh, my sister, when she got married, her guys... Well, her husband wore camo, like a camo vest, but the guys wore orange, and then the girls wore orange.
It was strange, because we all were in cowboy hats, and none of us would typically be in cowboy hats.
Right.
But there we were.
Yeah, that's...
I don't know if there's any pictures of that. I hope not. I hope they've
Yeah.
all been burnt. I remember, because we had to buy the hat. You could rent the tuxedo, but you had to buy the hat.
Do you still have it?
Oh, no.
Oh.
As soon as it was over, I think I gave it to somebody as I was going out the door.
Oh.
Because it was so not anything I would wear.
Yeah.
But I do have other hats, but I never wear them. A lot of people who I went to school with, who are around my age, a lot of them have gone bald. So they're constantly wearing hats. They're always wearing caps, they're wearing hats, they're wearing all kinds of things on their head. I don't know what they're doing. But my hair has stayed up there. And a lot of times, I don't need a hat. But, like I have a beret somewhere. I used to wear a beret when I thought I was artistic. And then that went down. But yeah, I have a
I really want to see that.
I have a beret. I have a real beret, not an Americanized beret. I have a beret from Paris.
I really want to see
I
that.
do. I have a beret.
That's awesome.
And then I have, well, I used to paint.
Oh.
When I, like I said, some of the paintings
thought
around
you
here
were
are mine.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know.
I bet I could guess which one.
I bet you could. But they were fun because
I'm just kidding.
I was very into abstract.
You know what we should do? Next show, we should both, I'll bring my painting that I did, and then you can have one, and that'll be the picture. We'll have our paintings.
Oh, that'll be nice.
Yeah.
Well, I did, some I would do were abstract because I liked a lot of color in everything. And then some I would do which were just completely... One I did that somebody tried to buy from me, and I don't remember where it is. I don't know if I still have it here or not. But what I did was I took watercolors, and I just saturated the back of the canvas in watercolors, so you would see like faint yellow, faint red, faint blue. And then I just drew the aspects of a face. Eyes, nose, mouth.
I feel like I've seen it.
That might be around here somewhere.
Yeah.
But boy, people really liked that one for some reason. I don't know what it was about that one, but people did like that. I'm trying to... I did... Well, you always do flowers or fruit. That's where you start.
I did a cat.
Did a cat?
It was like a Halloween... It was like a wine and paint thing. Because that's the only way I'm painting is if I'm getting drunk. No, I'm just kidding.
Painting used to be... To me, it was like a therapeutic thing.
Yeah, that's the only time I ever did it, and I loved it. And I don't even like wine, but they had this wine float, so it was like strawberry ice cream, or strawberry banana ice cream, and strawberry wine. I had to think about that.
Well, strawberry's my favorite kind of ice cream, so I'm strawberry anything.
Yeah. I think it was like strawberry banana ice cream, but it was so good.
I have so much wine out because I don't drink alone. And when people are over, I don't like to give people wine because I'm afraid then they're going to drive. So I have all this wine. I have wine that I got as a housewarming gift that I never open.
I like to cook with it.
Well, every year I get this wine because this guy has it flown in because his son owns a vineyard. So it's a special kind of wine, and I get a bottle of it every year, and I've never drank any of it. I've drank it because he usually gets it for 3 people. So I've had the taste of it because he'll open up his bottle, but the bottle he gets me every year for Christmas, they've just piled up.
When I worked at the bank right before I got married, and someone made me a bottle of wine. Now, never got to drink it because I put it in my, I put it in the back of my car, in the back of my SUV. Well, somehow it exploded. And all I could think of was, great, I'm going to get pulled over and I'm going to jail because my car smells so bad of alcohol that they're going to assume that I'm drunk, and I have not had a single drink.
I got burnout on the homemade wine because my family was in the wine business.
Oh, yeah.
And they owned a vineyard. Or it's not a vineyard. They didn't own a vineyard. They own a winery.
Okay.
And, they used to give wine all the time. And when they were trying to come up with new blends...
Well, if you ever need to give any away, I'll cook with it.
Oh, it was awful because they were constantly, and you were like guinea pigs, wine guinea pigs, and I got so burnt out. Homemade wine tastes different than wine that you like, pricey, high-dollar wine. Like this wine that I get every year, I know it's high dollar, it's flown in. That tastes completely different than homemade wine.
Yeah.
Well, homemade wine is usually made with some kind of juice because most people don't smash their own grapes.
Right.
So it just has a completely different taste.
Yeah. I just don't like wine. But I do like to cook with it.
Well, it's okay.
I like to make Alfredo sauce with it.
The other night I had some kind of vodka lemonade drink, which I think was not very powerful.
My go-to drink is amaretto and Sprite.
It's not bad.
So good.
Well, I thought this drink would have more of a kick to it,
Yeah.
and it didn't. I didn't feel anything.
I'm not much of a drinker, though.
No, me either. But nobody ever drank in my family. There was never alcohol in my house. I mean, they would go to parties and drink, but nobody drank
There was
beer.
never alcohol in my house either.
So I was never exposed to
I think
it.
there was like peppermint schnapps or something in my house, and it looked like water, and it was in this container, and I'm pretty sure that nobody ever drank it.
Yeah, I don't know. There was never beer in the refrigerator. There was never... I mean, they always went out for New Year's, and they always went out for St. Patrick's Day, and it was typical stuff, but nobody ever had wine in the refrigerator. Nobody ever had beer in the refrigerator. It was not something... I was always shocked when I would go to somebody else's house and they were drinking with, like, every meal, because that just didn't go on at my house.
Yeah. I have beer at my house, which is so funny, and I have wine in my fridge from cooking, but I have beer sitting on, like, my kitchen floor from New Year's. I have beer in my, like, in the pathway, like, you've seen my house, like, so when you first walk in my house, there's that little hallway type thing that goes to the doors. I guess the porch. That's what it's called. It's called a porch. Oh, my. And, there's beer out there, too, and that's from Christmas. And nobody's ever drank it since. People have just left it at my house. And that's that. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to end up throwing this away because nobody's going to ever want this.
Well, it's interesting because since the holidays started happening at my house, Christmas and Thanksgiving and 4th of July and Memorial Day and Labor Day and all those things, you get a lot of stuff left that you never drink and eat yourself. So I have a lot of that stuff around.
Yeah.
And I never think to throw it away because I never go buy it. I never touch it.
But then I'm like, okay, well, people are not going to want this a year later. Like, when they're at my house again for these parties, I should probably have new beer, not year-old beer that was cold at one point and then got warm sitting on my kitchen floor. And
yeah, that's probably it. I think this wine would be good, and maybe one day I'll just have a big old wino type of thing and open up all these bottles of wine and go crazy.
Are you gonna, like, invite people to this?
Well, sure.
Okay.
It'll be a party.
Oh. Well, I'll just come and observe.
I like a good party.
Can I just come observe?
I don't know.
I don't really like wine, though.
See, I like to me, a good party is when you get people around who will talk and you get that thing going.
Oh, I'll talk. I don't need alcohol to talk.
No, I don't think that the alcohol makes people talk, but you get the room buzzing and nobody's in a hurry. That's why summer parties are a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. Because there's no bad weather that make people want to go home early.
Well, I got something working right now on Leap Day because it only happens, it only happens once every 4 years, and it's on a Saturday this year.
Yeah.
And I like that. I like doing something on Leap Day, making that just a party thing. Now, I don't think it's going to be the wine party, but I'm going to have something that day because I like that. I like the idea of it. I like celebrating that. And it's fell in the right time. And you would only do it once every 4 years.
Yeah.
And there is something about a leap year's full moon. There's a story about that. Something...
Is it a full moon this year?
I don't know.
Oh.
But we're going to say it is for all intents and purposes.
I don't know if it is or not. I was just...
Well, I think it's a full moon. It's the full moon before leap year. It's something like that. There's some...
We'll have to look it up because we only have like 6 minutes left. So we'll have to look it up and then explain it next time.
Yeah, there'll be another one before
Leap Day.
Before Leap Day.
Yeah.
But that will be a fun party because I see that more.
Well, you better get to inviting people because that's 12 days away.
Well, I got them.
Why did I get invited?
Well, you know.
That's rude.
No. That's the first time you said that this episode.
Yeah, I know, but that's rude.
Your invitation could be in the mail.
I doubt it.
Well, why? I like to send things in the mail.
Did you send out invitations?
Yes.
Oh.
I sat down and wrote out invitations and put them in envelopes and
No,
stamped them.
this is what's going to happen. On Friday night, we're going to be doing our show on the 28th, and you're going to be like, nobody's coming to my party. Would you like to come?
No, I don't think I would say that. But people will come to my party.
Okay.
You don't think?
I don't know. I wasn't invited, so I guess I won't see.
Oh, jeez. Well, it's one of them things.
That's rude.
Do you want to come to the party?
Not now.
Oh.
If I'm a second thought, I don't want to come.
Well, no, it's my first thought right now. That's the first thought I had about it.
Yeah, I have my kids that weekend, but I think my mom's taking them to do something. At least the boys to do something that day.
Well, it's going to be a theme thing. Leap year, leap day. That's a big, big day.
You could dress up like a lily pad, and I'll dress up like a frog. It'll be leapfrog.
Leapfrog on leap day. Well, that was almost clever. That was very close. That was very close to being clever.
I know. Look at that.
Hopefully the weather will be similar to what it is now, like 50 degrees, because that'll be fun, because people can go around and do things.
Yeah, I hope. I'm tired of the cold. Though, I'm telling you what, when I went outside yesterday, I think it was, or sometime this weekend, whatever the first warm day was, I walk outside and I was like, oh, I don't even need my winter coat today. I just need a sweatshirt. I get in my car and I look and I was like, it's only 40 degrees. Why is this, why is that okay?
Oh, this reminds me of what I did yesterday. Now, what I did is I worked at a job that I have worked at for a long time.
I know, I saw you.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing. I never tell people where I work for this reason. I'm going to tell you. I mean, you knew I worked there.
Yes.
And I go in periodically. But I never tell people because they show up.
Well, and you know what? It's funny because I don't normally go there, okay? To that one. And I didn't go to that one first. I went to the other one first. But they didn't have what my mom needed at the other one. And we were waiting for someone to get home to go pick up Girl Scout cookies. So we were like, what can we do to, take time? And I was like, well, there's another one on the other side of town. You want to go over there? And she was like, yeah, sure. So we went over there and then got what we needed, and then, which was beer and dog food.
Delish.
Right, I know. And then we went to TJ Maxx, and then we went to Kohl's, and then we went to pick up Girl Scout cookies.
Well, the funny thing about this is when I've mentioned this place, or when it's been mentioned, people do show up. And it's very difficult because they want to talk about radio things or other things, and I really don't have time to do that there.
Right.
So
I know, that's why I didn't stop and talk to you.
Well, it's very strange. So, but my favorite experience with that job is I was waiting on somebody one time, and I'm doing my thing, and they heard my voice, and they realized who I was. And the lady, and then she went into, they usually tell me what their favorite interview is, or how much they enjoy something, and, whatever. So they did that, and then at the end, she said, I hope they pay you more money there so you don't have to work here anymore. And that was so funny to me. I told that story for the longest time. I loved that story. I mean, that was really, I was flat busted.
That's so funny.
I was flat busted. That's why I was there. Had to make ends meet.
Right.
But it's funny because when I did a subject last week on job shaming, and I guess that was kind of job shaming is what she was doing. I shouldn't be there.
Which, I mean, my mom works in retail, and she does it for the discount.
I do it because I like it.
Yeah, I mean, she's been at this job for 6 or 7, I think 6 years now. And, she loves it. She goes in, I mean, she works multiple times a week. But it helps, helps me, helps her.
I just
Christmas and stuff.
I like not having to be the boss. Because when you're at school, you're technically the boss of your classroom. And the radio station, nobody really tells me what to do there.
Yeah.
So I like going to a place and just clearing my mind and being one of the people. And I do like the people. I like talking to people. I like seeing those people. So when I go in, it's always a little catch-up and it's fun. So I don't know why I would ever quit doing that. I enjoy it.
I don't know. Nobody should ever job shame, though.
Oh, I don't know why anybody would job shame. I would do anything.
Yeah. Would you ever be a stripper?
Well, I don't know. It depends on where they put the G-string.
Do you love how I changed the wording? When I was on air, I was like, exotic dancer.
Exotic dancer. I don't, I think that people who do it for not the money, okay.
I know someone that just showed their brother this girl that they're talking to's Instagram. And she may or may not be in that profession. And he said, do you think Mom would approve of this girl?
I remember one time I was dating a girl, and she told me about a girl that we knew in common who did that, and I didn't know that she did that. And so I asked her about it, the girl, because I thought she'd be a good guest on the radio.
Oh, no.
That wasn't a good thing to do.
No.
No, because she didn't want people to know she was doing it.
Yeah.
Because she was doing it out of town.
Oh, I mean, but sometimes you don't, though. Some people are not shameful whatsoever, and they're just like, this is what I do. And then other people, like, they do it because, that may be the only thing that they have at that point, the only opportunity they have at that point. I mean, I don't know that is always the case. But, I mean, it is good money. I do not know from experience.
I don't know. I just think when you do it for the money, that's why people... Like, I would imagine this girl was doing it for the money, and that's why she was ashamed of it. She didn't want that associated with her name.
Well, yeah,
Now, if you do it for the job, then you don't care, because you're, okay,
exactly.
I like this.
But, I mean, I know that there are some people that really do struggle to make ends meet, and that might be the thing that they feel that they need to do in order to be able to live the life that they want and have the hours they want, I guess.
I would just caution people that make sure that's the one, because that could come back to haunt you in the future. The people who do it, I think they've already thought it through. I think some people who do it for financial reasons don't think it all the way through, and then about 5 years later it comes back to really bite them when they try to do something. But the other people are just totally happy with it. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. People go to those places. People pay the money. Why not? Do what you want.
Oh, yeah.
Knock yourself out.
Hey, if it pays your bills, man.
Yeah, I mean, if you
enjoy it and it pays your bills,
if you enjoy it,
hey,
yeah, why not?
Do whatever.
People have done less.
Yeah.
Have done more for less. Yeah, people have done more for less.
Yep,
that's exactly
true.
right. Well, this has been fun.
Yeah, it's been a great podcast.
A great podcast, very interesting. A lot of interesting topics that were hopefully helpful. Shout out the email again.
Oh, the bspodcast333@gmail.com.
There you go. Well, for Bales, this is Scott saying have a great day.
Bye, y'all.